ਵਿਸ਼ੇਸ਼ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਐਲਨੋਰ ਸਟਰਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ BC ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ MLA ਨੇ ਅਤੇ ਚਰਚਿਤ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ। She was a broadcaster once, if I remember it right, and she's a former RCMP officer and a politician now. ਐਲਨੋਰ ਸਟਰਕ ਹੋਣਾ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਹੈਲੋ ਐਲਨੋਰ ਜੀ, ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਵੈਲਕਮ।
Hello, G. Thank you for having me on.
We have discussed this issue previously as well, mental health in our streets, specifically in line and order scenario when policeman goes to take care of the calls on a routine basis. But mental health is a biggest issue that sometimes governments, they seem to ignore this.
Well, I agree with you. And so, I really wanted to come out today, and thank you so much, Doctor, for having me on, to talk about this issue because it's the 3rd anniversary of the murder of a police officer named Shaylin Yang, who was murdered in the line of duty by a person with a history of violence and mental illness. And since her death, the public is well aware that there have been multiple violent incidents where people with a connection to mental disorders who were failed by the system have gone on to commit some of the most horrific attacks in the history of our province, including this year at the Lapu Lapu Festival, where 11 people died, more than 24 others injured. And I think that since Constable Yang's death, the government has not made enough progress at all in addressing the crisis of a lack of services for people with complex mental health issues and mental disorders in the province of British Columbia.
Let's come towards Surrey. We are getting threatening calls. We are having shootings, dozens and dozens of times. That process has already happened. And whenever we as a media ask questions, the answer is that we don't have enough police officers. We don't have enough funds. I guess we can't, suspect that answer, that intent behind it. It's always good when they say that we don't have enough officers or tools to deal with the crime. But I think if we take the mental health issue seriously, then if the governments and the systems, they take care of the people who are mentally not sound, then police can work on other very important issues.
You're right. If we would address mental illness early on and give people access to services and give them the care, even in community, that they need long before a crisis happens, then police wouldn't need to be involved with people with, severe mental illness who are in a crisis. That's one of the reasons why I actually left policing and came to be a member of the BC legislature, is because I wanted to advocate for those changes. And in the 3 years that I have been a member of the BC legislature, leaving my policing career behind, I don't think that we've seen the system get better. In fact, the multiple compounding tragedies that we've seen in this province would indicate to me that the system is actually getting worse, and that the demands that we have on the system is nowhere close to being met. Speaking of the shortage of policing, this is another issue, though, that the NDP has also fostered. When they greenlit our brand new police service, and they are doing a good job, they are trying to do their very best, Surrey Police Service, but when they were greenlit and given that approval by the NDP, they did not make sure there was going to be adequate training spaces for police officers at the Justice Institute. And for those who've been following in the news, they will now know that even with the NDP increasing the number of seats, municipal police detachments, just like Surrey Police Service and Vancouver Police, are now wanting to do their own police training because the province has not kept up with the demands on the police. But that's going to cost the taxpayer. So, we're dealing with complex issues. Police are dealing with things like mental illness and people with substance use disorders in the streets. And at the same time, they don't have the ability to recruit the number of people that they need to help keep our city safe.
My philosophy is that each criminal who behaves abnormally, or in our definition, he's not normal. There's some element of abnormality in each and every criminal. And coming once again, talking about City of Surrey situation, People are having sleepless nights, LNRG, or this is a hypothetical question. If you are mayor, if you are premier, if you are everything, very powerful person, what would you do, or what should be done to fix problem that people of city of Surrey they face day-to-day basis?
Well, if we're dealing with mental illness and people with complex mental health issues or substance use disorders, one of the keys to getting us out of the crisis is, first of all, understanding the need. And the government of British Columbia has done little, if anything at all, to truly identify how much need there is for these services and how many beds, for example, even just for, people with addictions issues, people with substance use disorders, how many do we actually need? And are we anywhere close to having provided enough of those resources in the community? So you start off by finding what the need is, and you develop a plan with short-term and long-term goals to get us through the crisis. That's what I would do. And that's, Dr. Romana, I am a powerful person. I've been given this blessing of being able to represent people in the BC legislature, and over the last 3 years, I've done my very best, and I'm using my voice. And this is what I am asking for. Let's identify the need. I'm calling on the government to identify what the true need is and to develop a long-term and short-term plan to address the crisis. Let taxpayers know what the goals are, what the cost is going to be, and let's just get this done. It's fine for us to say that we recognize and remember those who lost their lives because of a tragedy, because the system failed them. But if you really want to honor people like Constable Shaylin Yang, if we really want to honor her memory, we need to fix the system that failed her. We need to fix the broken mental health system that is failing people across this province and has led to even the deaths of people with mental illness in some very serious incidents in interactions with police, and who themselves have been targeted as victims of crime. So this is a really complex issue for sure, but there are simple solutions like identifying the need and making a plan to address that need.
My question was more about law and order side of it. And the situation that we face, our studio got shot, Caps Cafe got shot 3 times already. Is it about the police transition and or something else? Now, we even have declared the Bishnoi group as a terrorist entity, but nothing seems to help here. What would you do to fix this problem quickly, like the people wanted?
Okay. Yeah, here's what I would do. I would call on this right now to happen is that, look, we have a group yesterday that, at least on social media, claimed responsibility. The Bishnoi gang, people associated to that, claimed on social media that they are responsible for the 3rd shooting at Caps Cafe. So that means we have a terrorist organization causing terror and causing violent acts in the community. We need not only the province to step up, but the federal government as well. We need resources. One of the things that we need to do is be absolutely owning the streets here in Surrey. That means we need to have police officers on the streets, pulling over cars, doing targeted enforcement, doing proactive patrols to really find out who's on the streets and look at the kind of activity that's taking place, and have analysts even brought in to help who we already have in the province. One of the issues, Dr. Romana, at least on the provincial business line for the RCMP, it hasn't increased in size since 2012. So we actually have the same number of approved RCMP officers on the provincial business line as we did in 2012, even though the population has grown. And every time the NDP makes a new police task force, for example, the extortion task force or human trafficking unit, it's not that they're bringing more officers into the province. What they're doing is just taking away from other units. And eventually, what happens with those jobs that those police officers were doing before they got pulled away to the new unit? We need to be increasing the number of people that are actually doing the work on the ground. And so when you have people pulled off the street, for example, from other units to help with investigations, we need to make sure that we're backfilling those people. If they were on the street doing proactive patrols, we need extra officers to do proactive patrols. This is a national issue, and when we're talking about nationally designated terrorist organizations, well, it's time not only for the NDP to step up, but we need the federal government to step up. We need resources that we can immediately put on the ground.
Eleanor, I want to wish you happy Diwali. Please do come to the studio, find some time, and we'll sit together and talk about many other issues.
Happy Diwali to you and all your listeners as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Take care.